And welcome to Rauta 5 with Dunkelheit Produktionen edition. What it in essence means is that we have 5 different albums throughout the years from Dunkelheit, a German underground label focused mostly on extreme metal, but also some dance and synth and whatnot. Now this is a label that has been supporting Rauta quite a long time with quite nice amount of albums. And while I usually go through more recent albums, this time I wanted to dedicate an episode of Indie 5 to Dunkelheit, showing off about, their older releases and talking about them as well. So this is more of an indie vibe with older releases rather than recent ones. And because I had the time to prepare them more than usual, these are in alphabetical order. So let's start going through these albums. First we have here Abatuar, Perversiones de muerte, putrefacta. As you can pretty much judge from this cover, this is some violent stuff. All the way from Panama City. In fact, this is the CD version of the album. Was released, I think, 2017 if I'm not mistaken, so it's not like this is very recent one. Here is the CD as well. As you can see, 12 tracks in total, mostly very short ones too, and let me tell you this much, they are very chaotic. Here is also the LP version Dunkelheit was kind enough to send for review purposes. So as you can see, two-sided release obviously. This is full LP with some lyric sheet as the sleeve of the LP, double-sided, so you can get to read all the lyrics and so much, all the stuff here. So music-wise, Abatuar is very violent black death metal hybrid, very chaotic, very raw, intense, and all that stuff. Not very original as such. If you have ever been into kind of a blasphemy stuff and all that, you know very much what to expect, kind of a. But this is more kind of a, should I say, even punkish way of putting the music there. That is short tracks, very simple riffs, and sometimes just kind of a almost like hardcore-ish way of, doing the riffs here. It's not like they're very, truly thought of like, hey, we should put this riff here, and all these ways to create a song or an album. So I don't know, very marginal release in so many ways, because this is not your typical Black Death album. At the same time it is, but it's kind of a raw, primal, very demo-like. Well, listen though, but just don't expect too much. From Panama we travel all the way to Portugal. This one is called Bosque, maybe, with 3 tracks on their third album called Beyond. Now this was told, as, or more like introduced me as a funeral doom, but to be honest, that is kind of a misleading. What we also have here is the LP version of the album, so I'm gonna show you while I talk about the release here. So it was told me this was like more like funeral doom, but to be honest, this is not very funeral doom, at least when it comes to a sound policy, which is very demo, like even rehearsal room, like very thin sound, very weak sound, to be honest. Oh my goodness, now we're lost at the LP because of my poor skills. Here we have what a nice looking release also. So all the songs are obviously slow paced because it's doom. One-man band creating its music in a very new way. I could have imagined that this was their first release, because it sounds like it's a demo release with just 3 lengthy tracks, about 12, 13, 14 minutes each, and it's lots of repetition there. I mean, very mediocre riffs repeated over and over again until the listener is actually very bored with the whole album. I mean, with those amount of riffs, with the kind of a creativity, I could have imagined this would be like 12-minute release all in all, but no, it's like 40 minutes, and it's very crappy made album because it's just like mediocre riffs with very crappy production, very weak vocals, almost like in the background. And I could understand if this was like first demo or whatever. But what this band actually needs is a proper drummer. The only band member here is very not skilled with drums, or at least it is performed the way that they are not very creative. It's just like one and the same drum beat almost all the time. Not quite, but you know, very simple. The riffs are boring, the vocals are weak, and man, the production, the mixing, everything just sucks. Very poor album in so many ways. Then we traveled to Germany. This is a band that I featured here earlier. This is, I think, 2016 release by German black metal band called Goatblood. This is here a CD and vinyl as well. Like it seems all the releases here are just lyrics, simple band pictures which are not giving too much information. We have the CD and the backside featuring tracks here. Obviously 18 tracks, about 36 minutes, so very short tracks all in all, approximately 2 minutes after you can figure it out. What we have here is basically very much like Abatuar, but not so punkish way of creating kind of a dark death metal with some black metal feeling as well. That is very simple, raw, primal riffs, chaotic, fast tempo, and that's about it. Now, Goldblog didn't shine exactly with their previous releases. It's very kind of a simple. Now look at this. This is some nice looking blood red vinyl, and not your everyday release, which are nice vinyl layout with lyrics, and once again the same set of band pictures. So music-wise, Goldblog is quite an average release, maybe a little bit more thought of than Abatuar, but to be honest, this is kind of a clone of Blasphemy and the Type. I mean, all songs are quite fast tempo and whatever, but it's not like they have these great riffs, and at least they don't take the time to, you know, mold these riffs and ideas into something way better. It's just like it was hurried all the way. Production is kind of clumsy and not very strong. It does its job, but I really cannot say it's great or anything like that. So only for diehard maniacs of, you know, black death metal and all that. Then we are still in Germany, and now we move to Dungeon Synth with a project called Lousberg, which is a mountain in Germany. Never been there myself, but it seems like a place full of mysticism and stories. And Lousberg is something that I have featured previously. It's Dungeon Synth, and this, The Death of Humanity, is very dark Dungeon Synth project. Not ambient exactly, but very dark, kind of a atmosphere that you are like waiting for darkness to descend upon you. So very nice atmosphere all in all. Now vinyl edition is obviously more pleasant to your eye, if not maybe music wise any different. Here's the cover, back cover with the band, or if you can call one man project a band. Then kind of a lyrics poster. Obviously this is not a musical lyrical content, but anyway. Then we have a nice looking poster, very dark also, giving the cover of the album, and of course we have the vinyl here, which is just like it said, one track. Now Lovesburg is actually better than your average Dungeon Synth stuff. It's maybe not the most creative stuff, but compared to say like average Morte's release, I think Lousberg is kind of taking a little bit farther. I mean, it's not repeating those patterns so much, but it's more like creating this canvas of darkness with its synths and stuff To be honest, I prefer not so much synths, but more like sound sources which are not so clearly noticed. But nevertheless, I like what the atmosphere is done there. So if you're Dungeons and fans, don't pay attention so much. It's like less than 25 minutes, because it is actually quite a good an album, or well, mini LP. So check it out. And last but not least, we have Sacrilegious Rite, which is once again a death metal band focusing on the more darkened stuff here. One could say there's lots of kind of a black metal vibe here, you know, given the how the band looks, how it sounds, and all that stuff. But make no mistake, this is a death metal release. One could say this has its similarities with the before mentioned Abatuar and Goldblog, but this is, in my opinion, more kind of a pro in terms of, you know, creating songs, putting them together, and, you know, production and all that stuff. Pretty basic rolling, if you will. But I don't know, this band just simply has better songs all in all. Everything, you know, from the basic ideas, you know, the riffs and the vocals and the production, and just everything is a bit more in place here. I wouldn't call simply just, you know, like great, but I don't know, this is something more of a potential good band than the ones before. But then again, this is also a kind of a release that if one of these bands mentioned here is your cup of tea, you are more or less likely to like them all. Very much, we could say, these all have this kind of a Dunkelheit feeling, you know, kind of dark, kind of a chaotic, kind of a blasphemy worship or goat, and not so different, but yet not similar either at the same time. Well, what can I say? None of these are exactly great releases. Some have more potential than the others, which is, I guess, kind of a given. But I'm kind of sad to say, none of these are exactly kind of like mandatory to have in your collection. While they all are like nicely laid out, especially in vinyl version, you know, having these posters and having these gorgeous covers, it's like they are missing something. They're kind of a second grade or second division of releases. I don't know. Hit me for what it's worth, but I really cannot all the way down recommend none of these. But if I had to just pick like one or two, I would go for the Lousberg or Sacrilegious Rite albums, because they are just the better part of this whole Indie 5. Anyway, more Dunkelheit Productions or Dunkelheit releases coming later on with different videos. Let me know what you think. This was probably way too fast, gone through all the stuff here, but what you're gonna do, we can't have these in 30-minute editions anyway. Thank you for watching and looking forward to comments. See you soon with more Rauta reviews. Bye bye.